Welcome back to Watching the Throne on the Late Night Chat Network, episode 46. All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, Jay. So yeah, this is the Watching the Throne. If this is your first time checking this show out, I may have said Watching the Thrones at the start, Jay. I don't know. I think I might be screwing
Bro,
up
I've been there's sometimes you have been. I'm pretty sure. I'm almost 100%.
after I had to
Uh,
so many times. But yes, Watching the Throne. This is our Game of Thrones review, overview, discussion show where we talk about Game of Thrones episode by episode. And this is my first rewatch of the show ever. I've watched the show before when it originally came out, but I've never gone back and rewatched it. It's my first rewatch ever. This is Jay's first time watching the show after kind of getting put onto this world after watching House of the Dragon, which is obviously the more recent of the series that has come out. And yeah, sometimes we have guests, super fan guests that join us as well on the show here. But yeah, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Follow us at Late Night Chat Network on Instagram. These shows do drop every week, usually at Thursdays at 8 p.m. You can watch them live or go back and watch them in the playlist whenever you choose to. But yeah, we pre-record these and we put these out. Always a great discussion. And today we're going to be talking about the episode Unbowed, Unbent, Unbroken, which is Game of Thrones Season 5, Episode 6. Jay, what did you think of this one?
Weird, a little bit cool, different, more stuff to suck in and take in, and different people we're meeting along the way. We're following. We got Arya in this one, and we got uh, uh, our buddy again. He's back, uh, Braun and Braun. Am I saying it right?
Ron, yeah.
Braun and Braun and Mr. Kingslayer over there. So we get a little bit of that too in this one. So and a little bit of our old old buddies, our previous buddy from the show because I liked him too quickly and died. We get some of his family in this one too. So it throws you around everywhere.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on in this one. So we had to pay attention. This one was a pause one and to make sure I was understanding it because it was there was a lot. You had a bunch of little different things going on, and you wanted to make sure. Oh, well, we got a guest that we haven't seen in a while back, and this one reminds me of somebody really personal in my life. So it's always great to see her on the screen. So we'll talk about that in this episode. So that should be interesting. It's been a
Yeah.
while.
I thought
Couple episodes now.
there was some good stuff in this episode. Definitely.
Bit of fuckery, but yeah, Cersei there and a lot of stuff.
Oh, Cersei's who you're talking about. Yeah, she wasn't in the last episode, actually. You're right. There was none.
I wasn't talking about her. Not her. I wasn't talking about her. But yeah, she just.
I know who you're talking about. Okay. Lady Olenna, is that who you're talking about? Who shows back? Yeah. I gotta say though, I mean, ended on a fucking super fucking dark moment, though. We'll get to that. We ended on such a cliffhanger last episode, learning that Jorah is looks like he has grayscale now from the Stone Men. But then, this one starts off with some interesting stuff as we're going to get into here with Arya, which is really still developing that story. We still really don't know too much about what the hell's going on with her. Very interesting stuff happening there. And also, like I said, ended on a very fucked up dark note, though, this one, which I thought was shocking. I'm going to throw this out right now, and we'll get to it. Preface the conversation with this, though, Jay. The most despicable thing that's happened on this show so far, there's a lot of fucked up bad things that have happened to people and have been done on this show, but would you say this takes the cake, though, what happened at the end of this episode?
Well, I mean, I don't know with this show, but I mean, yeah, this for right up till now, it probably takes the cake. Like I still can't. I mean, I had to look at it because I forgot because I don't. I'm a little bit ahead of myself on this one, so I had to remember where I stopped it at. But yeah, I just looked at the last line that I wrote and I was remembering now what the fuck happened, and oh my god, man,
Yeah. So
I
we'll get
yeah,
we'll get
I
to
mean
that.
he's but I could still have a coffee, man. Like, like I could still have a coffee with the guy.
I don't
You
know.
know what I mean? I
After
don't know. Like, I mean,
I
smoke a
don't know.
joint. I don't know.
I don't
You
know about
know,
I don't know
if
about
I
that.
didn't watch this show, I probably, I don't
Yeah, we'll get
just
into
say
it. We'll get into it. Ramsey does a very despicable thing at the end of this episode. Spoilers, but of course, I'm sure you watched it if you're watching this show, guys. But of
yes.
course, spoilers. It should be without, I shouldn't have to mention that one, but I'm just throwing it out there. Make sure you like and subscribe,
How
though, guys.
come nobody said, "Oh, I want to be on the scene where Ramsey does." No, 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 no. Yeah, nobody says that. Yeah.
Well, anyways, let's get into it, guys. So this is information pulled off the internet of a synopsis that I usually go over for the show that helps us guide through the scenes here. So Arya, this first scene, she continues her training with the faceless men. She cleans a corpse, which is then taken away by two men. She's obviously curious about what is on the other side of the door through which the corpse was taken. She's about to walk through the door when the waif obstructs her path and latches the door. Arya wants to know what happens to the body. She scrubs clean, but she tells her that she will know when the time is right. Frustrated at the lack of answers, Arya demands to play the game of faces. She tells her that Arya has already tried playing the game but failed. She again asks Arya who she is, to which Arya replies that she is no one. She simply tells Arya to get back to work and is about to walk away when Arya asks her who she is. She tells Arya a story about how she was the only daughter of a widowed lord who remarried, producing another daughter. Her stepmother, in order to secure her own to secure her own daughter's future, tried to poison her. She found out about this and sought out to the help of the faceless men to exact her revenge. Then she asked Arya whether she believed this story, surprising Arya. When Arya doesn't respond, embarrassed that she bought the story, she tells her to get back to work, hinting to Arya that to pass the game of faces, she must be able to lie convincingly. Very interesting stuff going on in this scene, I think, right? Because we got a tease of it before. Arya didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. Game of Faces this, Game of Faces that. What do you think of this, Jay?
It's different. I mean, I still don't know what's going on. I still have no fucking clue. Um, I mean, I hope I feel like throughout the episode, it kind of helps get a little bit more of a grasp on it, but I still can't figure it out. I don't think by the end of everything. So
So, so what we
I
know
have
of the
speculations.
main guy, what we know of the main guy there that runs Hagen Hygar, Jaqen Hygar. What we
Yeah,
know of that guy, Jay, is we've already seen this man assume people's identity. He can morph essentially into other people,
yes.
pretending that he's other people, looking like other people. He was the black guy that was in front of the White House previous to this, that already talked to Arya, that she thought she was somebody else, and then turned out to be him. And as we learn in this episode with the face stuff, that's going to come up soon. But so we know that much. So whatever's going on here, it looks like, we'll get into the scene that they show in a moment there, but they can teach her to lie about who she is. And I feel like assume other people's identities, essentially.
It almost seems like some more kind of like word shit, in a sense.
A what?
If that word shit, if in the sense that they
Oh,
had
that's like putting your mind in like that's
somebody
like
else's body. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but it's in
somebody
the
else.
same sense. But it's like you're almost like this one's just more of a shapeshifter, if anything.
Exactly. There you go.
Right?
Shapeshifter. Got it. Yep.
I use that. I mean, only because I watch a lot of Star Trek, right? So
All right. So later, when Arya is asleep, Jacqueline Hygar comes to test Arya again. This time, when he asks Arya who she is, Arya tells him how she came to join the Faceless Men, trying to slip in a few lies into the story. However, Jacqueline is able to tell when Arya is lying and hits her with a switch whenever she does. He strikes her repeatedly when she insists she hated the Hound. Before he leaves, he tells her that she's lying not only to him, but to herself as well. So clearly she's struggling to grasp this whole games that they're playing with each other, and it seems like she's kind of failing left and right, at doing all this shit so far, right? And we still don't have answers. She wants answers. They won't give her answers. She's trying to do what they're telling her. She doesn't understand. She's not grasping the concepts. Very
yeah,
confusing, right? Like,
yeah.
yeah. So I don't think I would either.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. So I like to see what's going on, what's going to happen there, because it's like they said they never stopped playing the game, right? They have
Right.
never stopped playing, so I don't know what this fucking game is.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like Fight Club. You can't talk about Fight Club,
No,
right?
it seems like this is like one of the originals, maybe. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah. On the western side of Slaver's Bay, Tyrion Lannister and Jorah Mormont are still making their way to Marine on foot after losing their boat passing through the smoking sea and the ruins of old Valeria. Tyrion is annoyed that they didn't find any villages to steal a boat or supplies from as Jorah had hoped, so they're slowly walking and only have berries and roots to eat. The topic of just why Tyrion was even in Volantis comes up, and Tyrion is surprised that Jorah did not ask earlier. He explains that he actually fled from Westeros because he killed his own father, Tywin. He says he did it because his father tried to have him executed for a crime he didn't commit, and then he found his father screwing the woman he loved. Jorah nods as he seems as likely a motivation for kingslaying as any. Tyrion then says that despite how miserable Jorah is now, at least he can say that he had a good father. Now, this is going way back. I think this was in the first or second season, if you recall. But Tyrion did spend some time at the wall with the Night's Watch when he was taking prisoners there at that time. I think it may have even been the first season when he met Jorah's father at the wall. And this is a really great scene, I thought. Jorah asked how he could have known his father, Jor Mormont, or Gior, I don't know how you say it. But Tyrion explains he visited the wall once and met him. He was a great leader who seemed to genuinely care about all of his men, a rare thing in the world. But now, as the eulogy for Night's Watch members goes, the world will not see his like again. Jorah is shocked to realize that his father is dead in this moment, not having known this, right? And then Tyrion being like, "Oh, you didn't know?" Like, he kind
Oh,
of let that slip, and he's
yeah.
speaking about his father in the past tense, and then he's just like, "Oh no!" Like, and because Jorah obviously, he wasn't in contact with his father for a long time. It didn't seem like they were,
Couldn't pick up a phone and call, eh?
right. So, Jorah then asks how he died. Tyrion says he only knows the report he heard, which said that his father led an expedition beyond the wall, but there was a mutiny and he was murdered by his own men. Jorah processes this in silent grief, then changes the subject by saying that they have to keep moving. Powerful scene, I thought, to start to between these two characters, right? Like, I think it's one of the rare moments that you kind of seen like from Jorah in that sense, like kind of being a little vulnerable because this whole
Yeah.
time he's kind of putting on the brave front, won't even admit that he's got grayscale to him. You know what I mean? But he talks about his father and it hits him. You know what I mean? Like right where it hurts in this moment,
Well,
where knowing his father's
I
dead.
I mean, he is. I would think he's a normal person. He seems to be a normal person, right? But yeah, it just sucks that this is the way he found out, and I mean, it's not like he died a not noble person. I mean, he was a noble guy, so it's not like his
Right.
his dad wasn't a good guy, right? It was what happened in the beginning, right?
Right.
So I'm surprised for him. But you know what? Too with these travelings that all these people do, they end up, especially because they've been saving each other's life back and forth in a sense. Um, they tend to have deeper conversations than most, right? So I feel like these things tend to slip out. There's only so much you can talk about, right?
Yeah, they're having very harrowing experiences over and over again with each other. So of course they're gonna reflect on some of this, like with each other, right? I mean, you're
Yeah.
right. But I just love though the fact that they're connecting a moment and a relation that makes all these people connected in a way through something that happened in one of the first two seasons, from what I recall, right? Like it's so cool that they like to play the long game, like where people will meet other people that are related to the people in Westeros and they'll recognize their last name and they'll be like, "Oh, so and so. He was a good man." You know what I mean? Like, and then you think back about the experience that they had with them, right? You know what I mean? So it's interesting
It's
that the show does this. I like that. I like
there,
that a lot.
there, I've noticed that about another show too. They did the same thing. I had to actually go back to the beginning of the first season to see what it was that they were actually. I forgot why they were running in a sense, right?
It's
So it
kind
was
of like
kind of weird.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Game of Thrones has their own continuity of things like comic stuff or like even like Star Trek, and you know what I mean, like these
It's got its
properties.
own history, basically.
That's what I mean, these properties that have such a rich and dense world of characters and great characters that they can actually reference moments that happen. And if you're a fucking true fan of the show, you'd be like, oh yeah, that happened in the fucking first season or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, or like the same with Star Trek does that too. They reference other captains and things like this. Like, I'm sure, right? Like, there's and they're at a point with Star Trek now. Not to get into that, I'm not as well versed in that as you are. You watch all those shows, but the fact that they're combining all the timelines and the worlds and all the characters, that's what I mean. Like that kind of stuff, like it enriches the experience for the fans of the show in that sense. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
and when you get like three different shows and they're all based under the same, umbrella, that you get things that are happening in this time zone. This show that's not happening. This show you hear about people and at least they cross reference even just
yeah.
by person or by
Well,
the
look at House of the
species.
Dragons. Look at the House of the Dragons, right? That's exactly what we're talking about now. That's talking about something that happened before the events of this show, but you're already making connections. Oh, look, those are Valerians. Oh, look, they talk about Valeria in this show, right? You're already making those connections, right? As a fan, right? So,
Yeah, and I mean, you guys, when you guys first started watching, you had no fucking clue who the Valerians were. You just
no,
knew that they were something that existed at one point,
exactly. So, like, if
unless you read the books, right?
anything, you have the opportunity, and I will say it's been nice with what you've been doing and with having watched House and Dragons first and then this. You're actually watching this shit chronologically. Yeah, I mean,
That's what I mean. I've done that with a few things, I think, too. Like even people's performances that I watch in shows, right? I do that the reverse.
you go
But
back and you watch everything and you go forward again, right? I get it.
yeah,
So,
so it's weird. But no, this one here is like unless you read was it previously it would have been in the books. If you were to read the books, you would have known about Valeria more probably than you do.
yeah,
You might not have seen anything, right? Or
there's a whole book dedicated to the events that are happening in House of the Dragons. There's a book that explains everything that's going to happen in that show. Just one book. So
that was written afterwards, though.
no,
No, during the same or prior to.
before the show. Yeah, this was already established.
So
We're
House
not
of Dragons was probably their pilot series with their book, eh?
I think it may have been the second book or something like that. I think because the first one I think is just
Yeah.
called Game of Thrones, and I think it may be the second or third entry in the series. But I think he just took the opportunity to talk about past events in that one book that had to do with these characters. But you got to remember, in a book, they're much more descriptive and they have
Oh, very.
much more room to actually explain all this shit than in a show, right? In a
Oh
show,
yeah, yeah.
so
In a paragraph, you can put a lot in one paragraph very descriptively, right?
and
You
these
know?
fantasy novels, they're very descriptive,
Oh fuck.
yeah, like Lord of the Rings or something. You know what I mean? They can spend 4 pages telling you how someone looks. You know what I mean? Like, and then he looked like
Yeah.
this, and blah 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 blah, blah and then this looked like that, and then
It takes
you're not even getting any dialogue. That's what annoys me personally about those books is like it's cool because you actually feel like you're there because they tell you every fucking little detail.
it's
But
in here, right?
I don't want to read fucking 4 pages. That's why most people like watching a show or a movie over reading because sometimes you're like, I don't want to read 4 pages of you describing what this guy's hat looks like. You know what I mean?
Well, dude, that's what I mean. That's why, like I said, I only read the one book. One book talked about the hundred and something pages don't talked about how much they were in love, to find out they would die.
Some
So,
people love that. Some people love that though. They love
I means I cried for 145 pages
some
before,
people. Stop talking about the fucking one book you've only read the Notebook. Okay, it's not the show for
But
that.
I see where it's descriptive.
When we bring late night at the movies back and we do the Notebook one day, then you can talk about it, okay? Which we'll never do because I'll vote against it. You can go do that show with somebody else, as far as I'm concerned. But
No, no, get the Barbie wig for it.
yeah.
I was like Barbie wig.
Anyways, getting back to the scenes here. A grieving father brings his sickly daughter, Gita, to the house of black and white. He explains to Arya that he has been to every healer in Bravos and spent every penny he had. He tells her that his daughter is suffering and needs to find peace. Arya sits beside the girl and tells her a short, false story about how she was sick too, but her father brought her here, and when she drank from the temple's well, she was healed. This persuades the sickly girl to drink the poison water from the well. The water gives the peace of death to the sickly girl, and Arya, having successfully proven that she can lie, is brought to the Hall of Faces with Jaqen Hygar, who's basically just creeping and watching all this go down because he's observing that she actually was able to play the game of faces, let's say, and actually lie to somebody and actually get them to pass, because as a result of her lies.
Yeah, pass on believing in who
Yeah.
they are. Yeah. Just being a
Uh,
good person, I feel it's
yeah.
another thing
It
too.
was.
It's just like what do they call those? Okay, like being a nun, I guess, or whatever. Like somebody that's there when
Give you
you're
comfort in
passing
your final
over.
hours. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, a great underground chamber that houses thousands of faces. All the faces had been taken from the corpses that the acolytes wash in the temple. The faceless man then asks Arya if she is ready to give up who she is to become no one. After a moment of silence, he then states that she is not ready to become no one. She is too attached to her past as a Stark, but that she is ready to become someone else. What a crazy looking scene with all the faces
Okay.
on the walls, right? How
So
cool.
okay, I mean, they weren't very obviously.
They're
Yeah, I'm not
masked.
gonna get a
They're
great
not
picture
real.
here.
Yeah,
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 obviously, I'm not gonna get a great zoomed in picture, but these are all the little heads here,
yeah.
right?
Very
Okay,
cool. I thought this was a cool scene, personally. I think it's very
and
cool.
then to even just have you walk in like that and have that view of just, I know that she's probably got a wall in front of her, really, but at the end of the day, to have it look like that, and it's
Very
just that
cool.
how I was wondering, is her father's head in here somewhere, even though it's rotted on the thing? No, like, because he didn't go into that
No, because
place,
he's
I don't think.
never came to this temple. They said
Yeah,
that everybody that sacrifices himself in this temple, the bodies that she's been washing, this is where their heads end
are
up.
gonna end up,
And
yes.
if you actually look, if you're observant enough in this scene, you see the face of the black man that Jacqueline Hygar actually played earlier, like
Oh,
when he pretended, yeah, he's on the wall there. You see him, or at least one that looks like him. But I think that the camera pans across it to the point where I'm pretty sure it was the one that he already impersonated. But every person, basically every person in this wall, this guy has at his disposal that he can pretend to be, which is pretty fucking cool when you think about it.
and it's not even like he's putting the fucking mask on, like fucking,
Right.
like we have to do it at Halloween, right? So it's like this guy could just automatically, and he looks like him.
Oh, it's pretty
Takes off
cool.
the hood, yeah.
It's pretty cool when you think about it. The ability to have to be able to do that with this room full of faces, right? So very cool, very cool.
Those background faces, just the way they were all smudgy on the screen, like they weren't the greatest in the background. It reminded me of that Total Recall scene.
Or his head, yeah, I know what you're
Yeah,
talking.
where he's pulling off the head. Yeah, where he's Is that's just for some reason, man. The
Oh,
stretchiness of the material, like it looked like that kind of
yeah,
material.
I love that scene though. I mean,
I
you
know that's why I thought about it. Right, I was
talk
like,
about that on late night at the movies, guys. Check that out if you want to hear us talk about Total Recall. That was a fun episode. Um,
2 weeks. No,
our
sorry.
movie review, yeah, our movie review. As they walk, Tyrion asks why Jorah would support Daenerys Targaryen in this next scene and how she would be better than any other rulers, or why Westeros would even support her given that her father was the Mad King. Jorah explains that he never used to believe in things like destiny and was very cynical, which we did see when he first joined, when we first got to know Jorah through Daenerys. He wasn't so keen on her either, to the point where like he almost got King's Landing to kill her. Like he was sending them information, as we know. That's why he became a traitor. But that was when he didn't really believe in her, right? So
Yeah,
but after seeing Daenerys emerge from the flames unharmed with baby dragons, he believes in her now, and the Iron Throne is hers by right. Tyrion remains skeptical that this doesn't automatically mean that she'll be a good queen, given that the Targaryens were famous for going insane, just like Daenerys' own father. Tyrion's got a point, no? Or do you think?
dude. Yeah, he nailed it right on. It's and you know what? Like I mean, I don't like. I'm not. I don't think he's specifically calling out her as a woman and being a
No,
queen and that.
no,
I think
no.
he's just personality wise that
Character.
she's the only person out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I
So
mean he's just going by obviously the bloodline, the mistakes that people before her and her bloodline have made, and I guess he's taken that into account. He's never actually met her as of yet, but he brings up a good point, as we just mentioned last episode when we were talking about her. She's been having some trouble like figuring out things, making her own decisions. That doesn't necessarily make her a good queen. What she's doing, yeah, she's got the power and the dragons and everything else. It doesn't mean you're a good ruler, right? So
yeah,
spotting a slaver ship in the distance, Jorah pulls Tyrion to the ground. However, the pair has already been spotted before they start hiding, and the slavers emerge from the trees behind them and take them captive. The lead slaver, Malco, intends to return them back to their destination in Volantis. Tyrion, however, manages to successfully persuade him that Jorah is one of the most skilled knights in Westeros and would fetch a better price being sold to the fighting pits in Marine, which have just reopened. though not in the circumstances they hoped. Tyrion and Jorah are once again quickly heading towards Meereen and Queen Daenerys. So yeah, they kind of, they trick them. Tyrion does what he does. He was able to outsmart these guys. I really like the line about them talking about once again about how they wanted to cut off his dwarf cock at first, and he kind of tried to convince them about. He's like, "Well, listen, you can't just sell a random cock. I have to be attached to the cock, and they have to see me for you to sell it, right?" Like,
That was the best part, I think. Yeah, because and he was. I don't know where he was going. If he was either gonna say he's saying it's not the same size because he actually said,
no,
like. So I don't
yeah,
know if he's saying it's bigger or if he's saying it's smaller
no, he was alluding to the fact that he's got a normal or bigger size cock than a man. Yeah, that's what he was alluding to.
size. Yeah,
That's what he was saying. He's like, they need to see me to know that it's gonna actually come from a dwarf. Otherwise, because the guy assumed, because he's like, how will they know it's a dwarf's cock? And he's like, well, you're a dwarf, and he just assumes that his cock is smaller. He's like, that's not the case. He's like, he's
yeah.
size cock. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, he's not gonna know, so I need to be there. He's like, all right, whatever, bring him with us, and then we'll cut off the cock later or something like that, right? So I just liked all this cock talk. It was fucking hilarious that they're talking about a dwarf cock. And yeah, and the guy who is the black slaver that they were chatting to in that scene is actually Adebisi from Oz, the show.
That's the one. Yeah. Okay. Now that I knew, I recognized his face, right? I just didn't know where it was from. I was like, it's not from this show earlier
Oh,
on somewhere,
Oz.
is it?
Yeah, Adebisi, the one that had the little hat on his head all the
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
time. Yeah, that's him. That's the guy.
That, I
Guys,
could totally remember it now. I can picture it. I'm like, because I was trying to picture where I knew him from, but I can only see him in those clothes. Like I was only picturing him in those clothes that he
yeah,
was wearing, right? So
yeah. So that's the actor who plays Adebisi from Oz. So that was pretty cool to see him and pop up in this. So yeah, he's.
yeah. Now that I know that, yeah, that's actually pretty neat. I didn't even bother looking it up because, like I said, if I start searching things, they're gonna tell me too much, so I'm not gonna bother, right?
I don't blame you, no, for sure. But yeah, that's him. Here, I can pull up. Here, just pull up put Google Adebisi from Oz and pull up an image of it. You don't have to. You don't have to put Game of Thrones. Just put Adebisi from Oz, and that's the actor that plays the slaver in this scene. So we can show the folks at home if they're not familiar with him. Because yes, Oz being the first of HBO's successful shows, even before Sopranos, right around the same time. So some people may not remember Oz, but it's a fucked up show, which I already pitched to JT to possibly do something like this with Oz. But I just think that would be pure jokes to talk about those episodes because like the plots are ridiculous and Oz. There's a lot of raping going on, that's for sure.
There's a lot of raping going on. Yeah, I would think. You
Yeah,
would think.
yeah.
Where is it? Here it
If you
is.
thought the raping in this episode was bad, then watch Oz.
Yeah,
But it's so
this doesn't
badly
work.
done. It's not like it's like,
The best picture. There he is.
yeah. Simon Adebisi, yeah. Yeah, I think he was also on think he may have been on Lost as well. I know. I think he was in Blood Diamond. But yeah, this actor, this guy was the slaver in this scene on Game of Thrones. So it's cool to
Yeah.
see. Anyways,
He looks so young in this too, right? That's another thing. Because
sure,
Oz was before a little bit too, right?
he was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this next scene, Peter Baelish arrives in King's Landing and is on his way to meet Cersei when he is confronted by Brother Lancel and some other sparrows. Lancel warns Baelish that they have
Uh,
purged King's Landing of its corrupt ways, and the new King's Landing will not tolerate his prostitution business. Baelish dismisses these threats. So they're coming down on Baelish here for his no more whorehousing. They're saying to him, right? These fucking religious dudes.
he's getting a little pissed off. You can tell. I'll tell you that much. I mean, I'd be a little bit.
Well, yeah, like you had mentioned to me previously, it seems like he kind of acts a little like you said, sus or out of character in these scenes, right? Like I think for the first time ever, he's kind of revealing his hand a little bit in these scenes. Like he's kind of revealed what he's been up to. I feel like leading up to this, finally, all these plans that he's had in motion. But you're right. At the end of the day, this guy's a man who is proud of his whorehouse, right? So like if they're gonna, despite everything he's got going on, where he's gonna be like, he's gonna be the what is that, the Shire? That's fucking Lord of the Rings. What's it called? The Vale. He's gonna be Lord of the Vale and everything else. I mean, he's gonna actually be, but still, this is a man that enjoys having a reputable whorehouse. Right? So
Of
like
course.
you're right.
A
You're right.
reputable business.
Yeah.
Let's just put it business.
Yeah. So reputable business. Yeah.
It is, bro. I mean, trust me, it doesn't ever go out of business. I'll tell you that much.
No, it's the oldest business. Cersei, meeting with Baelish, continues to deny her involvement in Loras Tyrell's arrest by the Faith militant. Baelish is not fooled and warns that House Tyrell will not tolerate this insult. Cersei claims that she is the insulted one since Sir Loras, who has promised to her, prefers the company of men. Cersei
Well,
then
little boys apparently to her, in her words,
yeah.
they were little boys.
Cersei then explains why she summoned Baelish. She is suspicious where his loyalties truly lie and asks him whether she can rely on the Vale to fight for the throne if the time comes. Baelish assures her that young Robin heeds his advice and he will always counsel loyalty to the throne.
But
Baelish,
you know what?
yeah, go ahead.
Baelish said a good thing just there before he says one's company is a curious thing. He says to Cersei, right? Because she was talking about Loras's company. He enjoys the company of little boys, and then he throws that little bit of a jab, knowing that she's banging her brother in that sense about the one's company is a curious thing, right? Like
Yes.
he was quick to let her know that, right?
As is everyone else. I just love how people fucking slightly bring that
Yeah,
shit.
or going around. Yeah, just tell somebody by now. If you're gonna use it against her, just fucking tell somebody by now.
No secret. Everyone fucking knows.
Yeah, I thought that was crazy though.
It was. That was funny. Baelish then reveals that Sansa is back in Winterfell, where Roose Bolton has arranged for her to marry Ramsay. Cersei is infuriated by the Boltons' betrayal. To add fuel to the fire, Baelish adds that marrying the last remaining Stark gives the Boltons a stronger hold over the North than an alliance with a hated Southern house. Baelish counsels patience and suggests letting the Boltons and Stannons fight each other, and when the victor is still recovering from the battle, step in and defeat him. He suggests that Cersei's uncle Kevin Lannister muster a force or have Jaime Lannister lead an army to the north. Cersei contemptuously claims that her uncle doesn't have the courage to lead an army while Jaime is away on a sensitive diplomatic mission. Baelish proposes that the soldiers of the Vale could fight instead, but Cersei is unsure of Baelish's ability to lead an army. Baelish convinces her, stating that he lives to serve. All Baelish wants in return is to be named Warden of the North in exchange.
Yeah, yeah.
Cersei agrees to talk to the king about this. Wow, he is fucking moving in on this situation. He Baelish here. He is fucking playing his fucking hand in this scene. Eh? Like this is some crazy shit that's going down.
He's setting all this up, man. Like, I wonder why. I don't know. I don't know what his ulterior motive is in the end to keep his whorehouses, or like, really. I know he wants to become warden of like the North. I see that part there, but like, what the
Yeah,
hell's warden of the North if it's not Lord of the North or something like that? You know what I mean? Or like,
I mean,
fucking
Warden of the North is better than King Lord of the Vale, I would think, right? But I mean, which
yeah.
the Vale is in the North, I would assume, right? Because that is their people, right? Like that's
I
her
would think so.
that's Sansa's aunt, or that used to be there, right? So possibly that might even be in the north. So Warden of the North is like a whole region, Jay. That's of course bigger than fucking Lord of the Vale, because that's just one area, right? This is a whole fucking the north, like whatever's in the north, right? That your Winterfell's just the capital, essentially. You know what I mean? If you think of it in that sense, right? So that's kind of interesting. That's that he's kind of gunning for that, and he's really just kind of playing his cards, telling her what moves to make in this scene. He's just like, yeah, just do this and then that, and we'll figure it out, and then just give me the, But she's right to doubt him though. It's like he's not a military man. He's like, oh yeah, I got armies now. I'm a Lord of the Vale. You know what I mean? Like, what?
But the whole thing too is like he's I mean I still don't know if he's setting it up just to fuck it up, right? For her, for him, or for whoever.
I
I
don't
know,
know.
like, I guess, all the stuff he did for Sansa, and then all of a sudden now he's trying to like fucking bait her out to whoever is the first highest bidder. You know, and
Yeah.
so it's just it's kind of, yeah. I'd like to see where his storyline plays out. I mean, it can't be that hard, but I mean, like I mean. It seems to be the most stream. I know he's going through a lot of things, but it seems to be the most streamlined as opposed to crazy spikes yet, right? I
Mhm.
haven't seen enough crazy spikes from him in a
Not
sense
only
of
that,
peaks.
not only that, a guy that's conniving and fucking in the mix has
Yeah.
survived 5 fucking seasons so far, right? Like, you gotta give it up to Baelish a little bit. Like, he's still in the mix, right? He has never wavered. If anything, he's doing a way better job than fucking Varys was when he was in King's Landing with him, going toe to toe with him at times, right? Like, Varys is now, I mean, he's off fucking wherever the fuck he is. He's not even with Tyrion anymore. He was with Tyrion, now he's lost Tyrion, right? So who the fuck knows what's
Gonna
going
make other alliances. Who knows what he's doing, right?
on? Don't count him out. I'm not saying don't count him out, but I'm just
I
saying
can't see him not being back forever and just them ending his storyline like that. I can't see that either. And
I'll tell you
so,
right now, spoiler, they don't. He's back. He'll come
yeah,
back.
I would think so. Yeah,
But anyways, um, very interesting though, this Baelish stuff. I agree.
very.
Marcella herself is enjoying another stroll with her husband to be there, Tristan Martell. Tristan's father, Prince Doran Martell, and his bodyguard, Ario Hota, watch from above. Doran comments that they look lovely together, but they don't realize how dangerous that their love is and that he and Ario must protect them. Doran asks if Ario remembers how to use his long axe, and Ario assures him that he does. So now we're getting a little bit, like you said, the Oberyn Martell stuff, like with him dead now, we're getting a better view of his homeland now, and the people that live there, and his brother who's the king and everything else, or like whatever, the ruler of that place. And
Well, and also how valuable what's her name is to them right now
oh
because
yeah,
of Oberyn's death, right?
daughter, yeah. Well,
I'll
whatever.
see where that goes too, right? I don't,
Yeah. So
I know, Nico. Just keep your face down, dude. Don't worry. I'm paying attention to these storylines because I know that has to play. That's gonna be playing a part sooner or later, bro. And I know with her being there, she's like it's like a captive in a foreign country, right? Really, at the end of the day. So,
mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
just fucked one of ours. We're gonna fuck one of yours. Basically, is what
Well, I mean,
I'm thinking.
that's what they're getting at, and let's not
Yeah,
forget.
they're alluding to everything like that, right? And it's
And I'm not saying this is what happens, but again, I'm
no,
using facts of things that we've seen on the show right now. Okay, this
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah, yeah. And same here.
don't forget. It was at the start of this season, or maybe I think it was the start of this season. We saw the flashback with Cersei and the witch woman, or whatever, from her past, where she said basically that all her kids are gonna die. Right? She's already predicted that she's gonna have children, but then she's gonna lose those children. And she doesn't have many left. She already lost one. She's got two left, I guess.
She
Yeah,
got,
right.
yeah, she does have two. Like one, the one's already on the. He's a
But
king, but so
but
he's protected.
everything that she has predicted so far is slowly been coming true. That woman. I just want to point that out. So we've talked about that. Remember we had that discussion on the show.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Who knows? I'm just saying. I'm
Yeah.
putting it out
That,
there.
and that was only a small little flashback too. And if you're not one of those like diehard followers or somebody who's actually taking notes, you wouldn't remember that little scene from that part, and you'd be like, okay, you forgot all about that. If just in case, let's say down the road everybody's dead, and you're like, well, she predicted it in fucking season two. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I wouldn't. But that's something that you that sticks kind of with you now that you're paying attention to stuff and one down,
Yeah.
two to go, kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I know you, me, and Christina had a whole conversation about it because it's literally the only flashback that we've gotten in this show was that scene. So,
Yeah,
like, even for that reason, I feel like it was an important scene. But again, we haven't seen everything come true as of yet. There's been some things I feel like have been coming true slowly, and I think that's why we've seen her in her head a little bit concerned about everything going on in her life
future.
now. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see. Bronn and Jamie approach the water gardens wearing Martell disguises from the soldiers that they killed. Bronn wonders what Jamie will do once they get inside and find Marcella, to which Jamie replies that he likes to improvise. Bronn sarcastically remarks that explains the golden hand. Meanwhile, Alaria Sand and the Sand Snakes, which are all the bastard children of Oberyn, are already inside the garden. Ilaria sends them out to abduct Marcella, telling them to do it for Oberyn. So yeah, they're making their move. They want to kill off the daughter, as we already knew.
Yeah.
That's been their play. Ilaria has been trying to get Doran, his brother, Oberyn's brother, to do that, which he had refused previously to her. And she's like, "We got to take this into our own hands." And yeah, this is them trying to
Now
kill
we're gonna see what's gonna happen.
that.
This should
Jamie,
be interesting. Should be
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Jamie and Braun infiltrate the Water Gardens and soon come upon Marcella kissing Tristan. Jamie tries to convince Marcella to come with him, but Tristan interferes, suspicious of the bloodstains on Braun and Jamie's Dornish robes. When Tristan tries to draw his sword, Braun quickly knocks him down to Marcella's horror. Jamie tries to lead her away, but they are suddenly attacked by the sand snakes. Braun fights against Tyene and Nymeria while Obara attacks Jamie with her spear, driving him away from Marcella. Obara orders Nym to break away from Braun and take Marcella prisoner, but as Nym tries to pull her away, they are cut off by Ario and Prince Doran's guards, who, as we previously just pointed out, were like kind of watching from his like balcony there, who surround them and force them all to drop their weapons. Jamie, Braun, Ilaria, and the Sand Snakes are all taken into custody. Thank God for those fucking guys. I'll say that, because if the brother was in on the same page as these other folks, they would have been dead right there. Braun and Jamie, right? So they're alive. They live to see another day. It seems like for now, right at the end of this scene. So,
They live to fight another day. That's all it is, and they got lucky there.
yeah,
They did, because that was a crazy how they just popped. Yeah,
good scene though. Good scene. All right. One of JT's favorite characters, Olenna Tyrell, returns to King's Landing in this scene after learning of her
She reminds me of my grandmother, bro. She reminds me of my grandmother, straight up, dude. Now every time I see her, just because she straight up fucking tells you straight to your fucking face, man, and
which,
that's
which no one else really does on this show. Everyone's playing games,
no man.
like everyone's just fucking around, but she's just like, fuck you, like to your face. I love it. It's great.
Even
Olenna,
though you're queen, I couldn't care less or whatever. Yeah, Grace or whatever. Yeah.
Olenna tries to talk Cersei into releasing Loras. Cersei sticks to her claim that it was the Faith militant who arrested Loras and she had nothing to do with it. Olenna warns Cersei that her actions have endangered the Lannister-Tyrell alliance, the very alliance that is supplying the capital with food. Cersei informs Olenna that the High Septon has called for a preliminary hearing to determine whether the charges against Loras have merit and expresses confidence that Loras will be acquitted.
You know what the best part of that was? The first part of it, when you first see her coming in and she takes a breath out the window of her carriage, and she says you could smell shit from a mile away. Right? I was dying, bro. That killed me. That part of that line, it was just a
She
oh
hates,
man.
she hates these people. I mean,
Oh
she made
yeah.
that very clear. She made that clear to Marjorie, where she's like, "You're staying here. I'm getting the fuck out of here." Before, like, she's just like, "I'm going home. Fuck you." Like, you make sure you got things in line here. Like, she
Oh.
fucking scared, right? So, he's so yeah, she
She's back.
hates her. Yeah, I mean, she even had this whole line in this scene with when she says to her, she's like, your father was a difficult man, but I respected him. Like she's like, she's like, he knew that you had to get along sometimes. You couldn't be enemies with and Cersei just doesn't give a fuck. Cersei's like, your guys are supporting us financially. I don't fucking care. You know what I mean? Like she's just like, I don't give a fuck. Like like she's like, oh no, but she's playing the
You pay me. It's it. I know. She's I
she's
don't know, man. I don't know. Like I would like to see who would battle it out between the two of them if you gave if you gave Lady Tyrell there uh
I give the
give her take about 10 years off her life and see who would go at it if they did, you know what I
I would
mean?
go for Olenna in that situation.
Oh yeah, straight up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Olenna all day, all day, all day.
Oh wow.
The High Sparrow interrogates Loras first, who denies the accusations against him. He then questions Marjorie, who also denies any knowledge of it. The High Sparrow then calls in Oliver in character as Loras's squire, who claims that the accusations against Loras are in fact true. And if you recall, previously, Olivar also testified in the scene that Marjorie walked in on them once, which we did see this scene. She did walk in on them. She had a conversation with them, talked about, that the fact that they were hooking up, all this. So she has this as proof. He does talk about this in this scene that this happened, which is true. To support his testimony, he tells the High Sparrow of a birthmark that he has that is short, which was also a scene that, if you guys recall, that they did
Oh
prominent
yeah.
us like what his birthmark looked like in that scene, right?
My
Much to
favorite
Loras,
scene.
much to Loras's shock and fury. Yeah, I remember we talked about it and we compared it to the Armageddon scene. And then Christina didn't know what the fuck we're talking about. We were both laughing. Yeah, with the animal cracker. Yeah. Deciding that this is more than enough evidence for a holy inquest, the High Sparrow has Loris arrested. Since Marjorie bore false witness before the gods, she is arrested too. As Marjorie is forcefully dragged away, she calls out for Toman, who is paralyzed with indecision, while Olenna, contemptuous, regards Cersei's barely contained smug expression. Wow.
You
Wow.
little bitch, yeah. He listened to his mom. Is that what he was?
Saying, I'm the queen. What the fuck are you doing? Being dragged away by these people because she lied for her brother being a gay guy because then she would get killed, right? Wow.
And then her husband just stands there while his mom takes like full control. He's scared of his mom more than his wife. Now he ain't ever getting any again, man. That's the problem, poor guy. Well, he will be because he's a king, right? So I mean, he'll get somebody else. But yeah, they'll promise him somebody else, but not as hot as Marjorie. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's too hilarious.
Great scene. We'll see what ends up with happening with those guys.
Yeah,
But finally, we come to our final scene here of the show, and
fuck, bro.
yeah, it's pretty brutal. I'm just gonna put that out there right now, guys. But if you've seen this, I'm sure you would agree. But you know,
X-rated.
at Winterfell, Sansa is joined by Miranda in her room. She offers to help Sansa take a bath. She is so
I
she
offered too, but nobody said yes. They never called me back. So,
So she is presentable to Ramsay during the wedding. While she is washing Sansa's back, she mentions 3 other girls who Ramsay has been with and how he ultimately victimized them after a while because they bored him. Seeing through her motives, Sansa startles Miranda by asking how long she has loved Ramsay. She coolly informs Miranda that she is a Stark of Winterfell and will not be intimidated by the likes of her, and dismisses her to finish her bath herself, though she is visibly shaken by Miranda's story. I like how she fucking threw down in this a bit, this scene. She fucking was just like, it's just, she like laughed at her. She's like, yeah, look at you. Like, you think he's in
you
love
have
with
to
you.
watch me. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I liked her attitude
take
changing.
a whiff.
She's like, I'm a fucking Stark. Get the fuck out of here. I mean, she's like, I'm royal. Fucking washerwoman. She's like, get the fuck out of here now. Wash my back.
But it's in her head, like it is in her head.
But she's playing a part. She's off.
Marjorie, or what's her name? Miranda got in her head.
Yeah. She did, because when she left, you could tell the look on her face that she was a little worried about what she was going on about. But like, which as
I
we
mean
see,
that built that place is, that castle now is starting to wield a lot of secrets now with the way that everything's been run there by that fucking nutcase Pee Wee Herman, whatever you want to call him, and it's that fucking haircut across.
yeah. All right. So later, when Reek comes to fetch Sansa for the wedding, she refuses to hold his arm, even after he pleads with her to do so, saying that
She looks
Ramsay
so beautiful too, eh?
in this scene,
Yeah,
ooh,
she did, man.
she does, yeah,
Sansa, yeah, man. Like I gotta do it. Hold on, I gotta put the screen
yeah.
share
Go
up,
ahead
but with your buddy there.
with Reek.
He's quite ripe tonight.
Yeah, that's
In the last episode.
yeah. She looks very
Yeah,
nice.
she. It suits her, that dress or whatever the heck she's doing with that. Yeah, she's right. She's going to get married, right? Yeah. So,
Yeah, Sansa.
look, how many weddings has that been so far, bro? Since we've seen this series,
It,
6.
there's been a lot. So Sansa twice, technically. Well, no, she never married Joffrey. She was about to, but she didn't. Yeah. So no, but
Tyrion.
Sansa and Tyrion, yeah, that's 2. Joffrey with Marjorie. Tommen with Marjorie. That's 4.
So
Uh,
2 of the girls have slept with all of them,
Rob.
basically. Almost.
Rob
Rob,
got married.
that's
Uh,
5.
Baelish and her aunt.
Yeah, they got married. That was a quick one. And then
That was a
Khaleesi's
quick one.
and Drago.
I mean, they were
I mean, it was the start of a marriage. Like
yeah,
they got married technically. I mean, it's just
yeah,
not the same type of wedding, right?
yeah,
They had a rape fest. Remember that was crazy.
yeah.
But that's about 6. I think 6 weddings so far
Seven,
that we've seen.
7 that we just mentioned.
6 or
Yeah,
7, yeah, yeah. So that's crazy, and then that's not including the ones we just hear about, right?
that's right. Yeah. Like with
It's
Bolton and
just like people are getting married and having yeah. Holy fuck, repopulation, man. 101.
um. So here we go. So when he fetches her, she refuses to hold his arm even after he pleads with her to do so, saying that Ramsay will punish him if she doesn't. Sansa coldly asks if he thinks she cares about what Ramsay does to him and strides past him. Then, in front of the Godswood, Reek gives Sansa away to Ramsay, who actually allows Reek to call himself Theon Greyjoy in this scene. That's interesting. During the wedding ceremony, which is officiated by Roose Bolton and attended by many Northern lords. Later, when they retreat to the bedroom, Ramsay first interrogates Sansa about her virginity, then orders her to take her clothes off.
That's it.
Reek turns to leave, but Ramsay tells him he must stay, taunting him. You grew up with her as a girl. Now watch her become a woman. And yeah, I don't need to give you the full description here. Basically, he forces him to watch as he rapes her, essentially, in this scene. He does. She forces himself into her, even though she's not into it. And she talks about in this scene basically the fact that he's like, well, you must have already had sex because she was married to Tyrion. But of course, as we all know as viewers, and she said Tyrion was very respectful of her, didn't want to have sex with her because obviously he was banging what's her name at that time, right? And he was like, I will not touch you unless you want me. Like he was very against that, right? Joffrey just tortured her and they never actually got married for him to consummate the marriage, right? Like he just tortured her like while they were together. Or else I'm sure he would do something similar, but he would just fuck her up more. But yeah, he bends her over the bed here, and basically, although we don't see it because you hear it, you hear her struggling, you hear the fucking yelps, and Reek has a fucking like disgusted like look as he's forced to watch in the corner. He looks disturbed, obviously, because he's being forced to watch this. This is a girl that he knew from like when she was small. It's fucked up. It's all kinds of fucked up. This is for me, hands down, the most despicable thing I think we've seen in the show so far. And we've seen a lot of bad things, but this is just like, again, I don't like the screams. I don't like the intention of it. I don't like that Reek had to watch. It's fucked up, this scene. It's really fucked up, in
Yeah.
my opinion. Yeah. So
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it made him watch, and then Reek just made it. Just sealed the deal with how much of a little bitch he is. Couldn't even stop anything. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't like how she's crying. That's what kills it. Like she's crying softly during it, it says here. And you know what I mean? Like it's, and then Reek is crying. It's a whole I mean, this guy, I don't even know how this guy's getting pleasure out of this, but I know that it's for some guys, that's how they get the pleasure out of this shit. But yeah, he rapes her. I mean, and basically consummates the marriage like forcibly in this scene, as it says here. But yeah, it's fucked up. I mean, it is dark. I mean,
he's
that
quite somebody though. That guy.
he is. He's fucked
He's a
up.
character. Yeah.
If anybody I hope gets it at this point, it would be him, quite frankly, just especially after this. And honestly, I'm surprised that Reek couldn't find it in himself to kill him in this scene because, like, forced to
Or
watch
do
that.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
He must have really fucking like the torture must have been really severe. Like I can only imagine what kind of torture would
I
be
mean,
like that, right?
we've been witness to a lot of the torturing that he's done with them, right? But I mean, like to like you said, to be so far gone that he's not actually even sticking up for her in this moment, even though he's so like he does not want to be there. And that I know it sucks because that would be the time. He's got his back turned to him. He's doing his thing.
Yeah.
That would be the time to do something. Pull a knife out,
Yeah.
stab this fucking guy in the neck. You know what I mean? Like I would at this point,
It's
right?
just he's I don't know what's his deal. I don't know what the deal is. Like I know he's been mentally and fucking physically abused, but is that how serious it gets?
I
You know what I
guess.
mean?
I mean, yeah, I would, right? I mean, I think, like you said, like it's.
I guess. I mean, I've never been through it, so I wouldn't know exactly how it would feel. I guess you know what I mean. But if that's how tortured you were and mentally abused and whatever from this fucking guy over a short period of time, and I could see it really fucking resetting your brain.
Mhm.
But whatever, I know. We'll see. We'll see
That
if he gets his own too, right? We don't know
that
yet.
line though, you grew up with her as a girl, now watch her become a fucking a woman. That is fucked, man. Like it was. I mean,
Isn't
listen,
that man becomes a woman or lady becomes a woman or what's that?
listen. I thought it was bad enough when we had to see in House of the Dragon when the uncle fucking went and found that the younger cousin of it, whatever she a niece of his, and bangs her in the whorehouse in the House of the Dragon. Remember when he like seeks her out? The uncle, right? Uncle Rhaegar, whatever the fuck his name, whatever his name was, the uncle guy. Who found her in the town, and then she was a virgin, and he like made her have sex with it. They had sex with each other, like they were both into it, but like which I guess is a little different than this, but and it was extremely wrong though. But I thought that was disturbing because the girl that was in the show was so young. You know, in House of the Dragon, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that I felt was pretty disturbing stuff too. I thought that they went it. I mean, again, we've seen a lot of fucked up shit on this show so far, but this one was a little. I'm glad they didn't obviously show what went down. They at least they panned away, but at the same time, just hearing her cry and stuff during this, it kind of made it for like a tough viewing experience. I felt like this scene. It was just like, yeah, this isn't cool. Like, as despicable as the people are on this show, this was like, yeah, this was a pretty fucked up this one, I thought. But anyways,
Yeah.
we don't gotta
No,
dwell on.
we've learned that the despicableness and that kind of stuff, the sliminess and this dirtiness that you see, that doesn't really make a difference on this show. They're
No.
gonna show you regardless of how they put it. They're gonna tell you how it was, and we don't like the guy. That means he's sticking around for a while, right? So
There you go. So that's gonna do it for episode 6 of season 5. Everybody, for episode 46 of Watching the Throne. We're just chugging along. We're bringing these out at a quick pace here. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can always check us out every Thursday at 8 p.m. And yeah, I think we're gonna keep going until we finish the show and then reach House of the Dragon. We're probably gonna rewatch that and talk about it, guys, just in time for the second season of that, whenever that comes out, if it comes back this summer.
I'm
Uh,
waiting. I got my fingers crossed. I look every day.
I will say the next episode, though, season 5, episode 7, is called The Gift. That is the next episode that we will be talking about, and that looks interesting. If anything, we'll probably, I think, take a break by the time we reach the end of Game of Thrones, and then maybe if we do get an official date on House of the Dragon, it would be nice to time it where we can watch the show leading up to the release of the new season, and then we can kind of keep it going. You know what I mean? So we'll see what we're doing, because we can always knock out House of the Dragon after we're done this, no problem. But I think it would be nice to revisit it just prior to the show starting again. And then that way we can kind of go from that right to the new season. You know what I mean? So I think if anything, that's kind of what we'll do. But we got to wait on that official date to come out to be able to plan that. So we'll see what happens. They have been filming still, Jay, like you said, like we talked about it, because like they're not part of the same union, I guess, of actors in the States, because they're from Europe, a lot of these people.
Well,
So
it's like some
yeah,
people are saying that also that they can record, and like you're saying too, they can record it, just they can't really market anything or
right,
produce it. Like even they had the film festival that just came out, and they had that one. They just never marketed it anywhere. If you
right.
looked for it, you could find it, but it was just not. You were gonna find it. It's,
So looking at a quick little article here that was done maybe a week or so ago, it says here in terms of the release date, I'm just looking for an update here.
mm,
Yeah, for sure not coming out in 2023, which I could have told you as well, but it says their plans are to release it still in 2024. So I guess we'll see. It
yeah,
they
it could be filming as we speak.
Yeah, well, they know they began filming on March 6th, and with the production based in the UK and Spain. So since the production for season 2 is likely to take the same amount of time as season 1, around a year, it looks like we probably at the earliest we will see this show come out in spring or summer of 2024. So yeah, there you go. So that's kind of what I think they originally had predicted.
Yeah,
And if production hasn't slowed down, I guess we'll be talking about that next summer, hopefully. So yeah,
at least a year's time.
yeah. All
Crazy.
right, that's gonna do it for
Hey,
this one,
brother.
guys. Yeah, man. Jay, thank you as always. Always a good time talking about the show here. And stay tuned.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be me and Jay on for the next 2 episodes, 7 and 8. And then, as I previously mentioned, we have guests for episode 9 and 10, separate guests for those episodes to finish out the season. So that'll be a
Cool.
lot of fun. All right, guys. Later.
All righty. Peace out.